Welcome once again, dear students. Myself, Mr. V.D. Jadhav. Student, in the last lecture, we have learned application of solid electrolytes. In that, we are see sensors, electrochromic devices, and fuel cells and batteries. In today's lecture, we will discuss non-stoichiometry in non-stoichiometric compounds. First of these, what is meant by non-stoichiometry compounds? Introduction. In previous section, we have shown that it is possible to introduce defects into a perfect crystal by adding an impurity. Such an addition causes point defects of one sort or another to form, but they no longer occur in complementary pairs. Impurity induced defects are said to be extrinsic defects. We have also noted that when assessing what defects have been created in a crystal, it is important to remember that the overall charge on the crystal must always be zero. Color centers are formed if a crystal of NaCl is heated in sodium vapor. Sodium is taken into the crystal and the formula becomes Na 1 plus XCl. The sodium atoms occupy cation sites, creating an equivalent number of anion vacancies. They subsequently ionize to form a sodium cation with an electron trapped at the anion vacancy. The solid so formed is a non-stoichiometric compound because the ratio of the atomic components is no longer the simple integer that we have come to expect for all characterized compounds. A careful analysis of many substances, particularly inorganic solids, demonstrate that it is common for the atomic ratios to be non-integral. Uranium dioxide, for instance, can range in composition from uranium oxide 1.65 to uranium oxide 2.25. Certainly not the perfect uranium dioxide that we might expect. Many other examples exist, some of which we discuss in some detail. What kind of compounds are likely to be non-stoichiometric? Normal covalent compounds are assumed to have a fixed composition where the atoms are usually held together by strong covalent bonds formed by the pairing of two electrons. Breaking these bonds usually takes quite a lot of energy, and so under normal circumstances a particular compounds does not show a wide range of composition. This is true for most molecular organic compounds. For instance, ionic compounds also are usually stoichiometric because to remove or add ions requires a considerable amount of energy. We have seen that it is possible to make ionic crystals non-stoichiometric by doping them with an impurity, as with the example of sodium added to NaCl. Another mechanism also exists whereby ionic crystals can become non-stoichiometric. If the crystal contains an element with a variable valency, then a change in the number of ions of that element can be compensated by changes in ion charge. This maintains the charge balance but the alters the stoichiometry. Elements with a variable valency mostly occur in the transition elements, the lanthanide and actinides. In summary, non-stoichiometric compounds can have formula that do not have simple integer ratio of atoms. They also usually exhibit a range of composition. They can be made by introducing impurities into a system, but are frequently a consequences of the ability of the metal to exhibit variable valency. In this table, list a few non-stoichiometric compounds together with their composition range. Here these are the compounds and these are their composition range. Here note that all composition ranges are temperature dependent and that the figures here are intended only as a guide. Until recently, defects both in stoichiometric and non-stoichiometric crystals were treated entirely from the point of view that point defects are randomly distributed. However, isolated point defects are not scattered at random in non-stoichiometric compounds, but are often dispersed throughout the structure in some kind of regular pattern. The following sections attempt to explore the relationship between stoichiometry and structure. It is difficult to determine the structure of compounds containing defects, and it is only very recently that much of our knowledge has been formed. X-ray diffraction is the usual method for the determination of the structure of a crystal. However, this method yields an average structure for a crystal. For pure relatively defect-free structure, this is good representation, but for non-stoichiometric and defect structure, it avoids precisely the information that you want to know. For this kind of structure determination, a technique that is sensitive to local structure is needed, and such techniques are very scarce. Structures are often elucidated from a variety of sources of evidence. X-ray and neutron diffraction, density measurement, spectroscopy when applicable, and high resolution electron microscopy (HREM). Magnetic measurements have also proved useful in the case of iron oxide. High resolution electron microscopy has probably done the most to clarify the understanding of defect structure because it is capable under favorable circumstances of giving information on an atomic scale by direct lattice imaging. Non-stoichiometric compounds are of potential use to industry because their electronic, optical, magnetic, and mechanical properties can be modified by changing their proportion of the atomic constituents. This is widely exploited and researched by the electronics and other industries. Currently, the best known example of non-stoichiometry is probably that of oxygen vacancies in the high temperature superconductors such as YbOCO 122-223 and YBA2 copper thrice oxygen 7-X. These are the structure, these are the high temperature superconductors. The structure of these is discussed in detail in another chapter. Here, all these are the introduction of non-stoichiometry compounds. The specific example of non-stoichiometry and well-known example of non-stoichiometry is the wurtzite iron oxide. Here, in detail, we discuss the non-stoichiometry in wurtzite. Ferrous oxide is known as wurtzite and it has the NaCl rock salt crystal structure. Accurate chemical analysis demonstrate that it is non-stoichiometric. It is always deficient in iron. The ferrous oxide FeO phase diagram is shown in this figure 5.25. This is 1, 2 and 3 together comprise the Westite region. This 1, 2 and 3 comprise the Westite region. The diagram illustrates that the composition range of Westite increases with temperature and that stoichiometric FeO is not included in the range of stability. Below 570 degrees Celsius, Westite disproportionate to alpha iron and Fe3O4. An iron deficiency could be accommodated by a defect structure in two ways, either iron vacancies giving the formula Fe1-XO, or alternatively there could be an excess of oxygen in interstitial positions with the formula FeO1 plus X. A comparison of the theoretical and measured densities of the crystal distinguishes between the alternatives. The easiest method of measuring the density of a crystal is the flotation method. Liquids of differing densities which dissolve in each other are mixed together until a mixture is found that will just suspend the crystal so that it neither floats nor sinks. The density of that liquid mixture must then be the same as that of the crystal, and it can be found by weighing an accurately measured volume. The theoretical density of a crystal can be obtained from the volume of the unit cell and the mass of the unit cell contents. The result of an X-ray diffraction structure determination use both of these data. As the unit cell dimension are accurately measured and the type and number of formula units in the unit cell are also determined. An example of this type of calculation for ferrous oxide follows. Solar crystal of ferrous oxide was found to have unit cell dimension of 430.1 picometer, a measured density of 5.728 kg per cube meter, and an iron to oxygen ratio of 0.945. The unit cell volume, which is a cube, is thus 430.1 picometer. Cube picometer is equal to 7.956 into 10 raised to 7 cube picometer is equal to 7.956 into 10 raised to minus 29 cube meter. These are four formula unit of ferrous oxide in a perfect unit cell, which the rock salt structure. The mass of these four units can be calculated from their relative atomic masses. Iron 55.85 and oxygen 16.0. 1 mole of ferrous oxide weigh 55.85 plus 16 gram is equal to 0.07185 kilogram. 4 moles of weigh 4 into 0.07185 kilogram and 4 formula unit weigh 4 into 0.07185 upon Avogadro number in kg is equal to 4.773 into 10 raised to minus 25 kg, where Avogadro number is 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 per mole. The sample under consideration has an iron oxygen ferrous oxygen ratio of 0.945. Assume in the first instance that it has iron vacancies. The unit cell content in this case will be 4 into 0.945. In a summary, non-stoichiometric compounds are formed to exist over a range of composition, and throughout that range, the unit cell length varies smoothly. With no change of symmetry, it is possible to determine whether the non-stoichiometry is accommodated by vacancy or interstitial defects using density measurement. Electronic defects in FeO, that is ferrous oxide. The discussion of the defect in ferrous oxide has so far been only structural. Now we turn our attention to the balancing of the charges within the crystal. In principle, the compensation for the iron deficiency can be made either by oxidation of some iron 2 ions or by reduction of some oxide anions. It is energetically more favorable to oxidize iron 2. For each iron 2 plus vacancy, 2 iron 2 plus cations must be oxidized to iron 3 plus. In the overwhelming majority of cases, defects creation involves changes in the cation oxidation state. In the case of metal X's in simple compounds, we would usually expect to find that neighboring cations would be reduced. In a later section, we will look at some general cases of non-stoichiometry in simple oxides. But before we do, we will complete the ferrous oxide story with a look at its detailed structure. Here in this table 5.6, experimental and theoretical densities 10 raised to 3 kg per cube meter for iron oxide. This is oxygen ferrous ratio. This is iron oxygen ratio. This is the lattice parameter in picometer. Observed density. This is theoretical density, interstitial oxygen and iron vacancies. The structure of iron oxide. Iron oxide or ferrous oxide has the NaCl structure with Fe2 plus ions in octahedral sites. The iron deficiency manifests itself as a cation vacancy, and the electronic compensation made for this is that for every iron 2 plus ions vacancy there are two neighboring Fe3 plus ions. And this is confirmed by Mossbauer spectroscopy. If the rock salt structure were preserved, the iron 2 plus, iron 3 plus and the cation vacancies would be distributed over the octahedral sites in the CCP O2 minus array. However, iron 3 plus is a high spin D5 ion and has no crystal field stabilization in either octahedral or tetrahedral sites, and therefore no preference structural studies X-ray, neutron and magnetic have demonstrated that some of the iron 3 plus ions are in tetrahedral sites. If a tetrahedral site is occupied by an iron 3 plus ion, the immediate surrounding 4 Fe2 plus octahedral sites must be vacant as they are too close to be occupied at the same time. And this type of defect is found for low values of X. At higher values of X, the structure contains various types of defects clusters which are distributed throughout the crystal. A defect cluster is a region of the crystal where the defect form an ordered structure. One possibility is known as the Koch-Cohen cluster. This is the figure, the Koch-Cohen cluster shown with the back and front planes cut away for clarity. The central section with 4 tetrahedrally coordinated Fe3 plus ions is highlighted in bold. This central portion, this bold is Fe3 plus ions, black bold. This has a standard NaCl type unit cell at the center, but with 4 interstitial tetrahedrally coordinated Fe3 plus ions in the tetrahedral holes. The 13 immediately surrounding octahedral Fe2 plus sites must be vacant. Surrounding this central unit cell, the other octahedral iron sites in the cluster are occupied, but they may contain either Fe2 plus or Fe3 plus ions. We therefore designate them simply as Fe octahedral. The front and back planes have been cut away from the diagram in figure 5.26 to make the central section more visible. Here, here this bold is Fe3 plus tetrahedral, this is empty vacancy, and this blue round shows Fe octahedral. Here many more information about the structure of NaCl in that figure 5.26, that is Koch-Cohen cluster, is you search in the book of Leslie and E. Smart and Elaine A. Murray. There is a lot of information about this structure of Koch-Cohen cluster. I not discuss further detail. The next important is the titanium monoxide structure. Titanium and oxygen form non-stoichiometric phases which exist over a range of composition centered about the stoichiometric 1:1 value. For titanium oxide 0.65 to titanium oxide 1. Titanium monoxide 0.65 to titanium monoxide 1.25. We shall look at what happened in the upper range from titanium monoxide 1.00 to titanium monoxide 1.25. At the stoichiometric composition of titanium monoxide 1.00, the crystal structure can be thought as a NaCl type structure with vacancies in both the metal and oxygen sublattices. 1/6 of the titanium and 1/6 of the oxygen are missing above 900 degrees Celsius. These vacancies are randomly distributed, but below this temperature they are ordered as shown in this figure 5.28. In figure 5.28 A, we show a layer through an NaCl type structure. Every third vertical diagonal plane has been picked out by a dashed line. In the titanium monoxide 1.00 structure, every other atom along those dashed lines is missing. This is illustrated in figure 5.28b. This is figure 5.28b. If we consider that in this first two diagrams we are looking at the structure along the y-axis and that this layer is the top of the unit cell, B is equal to 0 or 1, then the layer below this and parallel to it will be the central horizontal plane of the unit cell at B is equal to 1/2. This is drawn in figure 5.28c. This is 5.28c, in which y is equal to 1/2. Here y is equal to 0, here also y is equal to 0. And again we notice that every other atom along every third diagonal plane is missing. This is true throughout the structure. In the figure, the unit cell of perfect NaCl type structure is marked on A, whereas the boundaries of the new unit cell, taking the ordered defect into account, are marked on B and C. The new unit cell of the superlattice is monoclinic because the angle in the xz plane beta is not equal to 90 degree. This structure is unusual in that it appears to be stoichiometric but in fact contain defect vacancies on both the anion and cation sublattice. As discussed in previously, unusually for a transition metal monoxide, titanium monoxide 1.00, demonstrate metallic conductivity, the existence of the vacant sites within the titanium monoxide structure is thought to permit sufficient contraction of the lattice that the 3d orbital on titanium overlap, thus broadening the conduction band and allowing electronic conduction. When titanium monoxide has the limiting formula TiO 1.25, it has a different defect structure still based on the initial structure, but with all the oxygen present and 1 in every 5 titanium missing. The pattern of the titanium vacancies is shown in figure 5.30. When titanium monoxide has the limiting formula titanium monoxide 1.25, it has a different defect structure still based on the initial structure, but with all the oxygen present and 1 in every 5 titanium missing. This is shown in figure 5.29. Here the structure of titanium monoxide 1.25 showing both oxygen and titanium position. The pattern of the titanium vacancies is shown in figure 5.30, which is a layer of the type in 5.28. But with the oxygen omitted, only titaniums are marked. If you draw lines through the titaniums, every fifth one is missing. The ordering of the defects has again produced a superlattice where sample of titanium oxide have formula which lie between the two limits discussed here, titanium monoxide 1.00 and titanium monoxide 1.25. The structure seems to consist of portions of the titanium monoxide 1.00 and titanium monoxide 1.25 structures intergrown. Note that although most texts refer to the structure titanium monoxide 1.25, as we have on the definitions that we have used previously when discussing wurtzite, that is iron oxide. It is more correctly written as titanium 0.8 oxygen titanium 1 minus X oxygen, because this indicates that the structure contains titanium vacancies rather than interstitial oxygen. This all about wurtzite and titanium monoxide structure. For further detail, you refer your reference book, that is Leslie E. Smart and Elaine E. Murray. I will stop here. Thank you.